Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, if I can please have a moment of your can I please have your attention for a couple moments? Last night, as I thought about today's conversation, I racked my brain about how to approach the significant concerns and fears about this bill. I thought about, should I start off talking about the unnecessary and dangerous precedent we are setting with this bill? Think about it. If you have a medical condition, cancer, diabetes, lupus, when you go see your doctor, you expect to get the standard of care. And in fact, if you were not getting the standard of care, you could in fact sue your doctor because you did not get that. In this moment in time, this bill is asking us to ban the standard of care. Now, if we question if the standard of care is accurate, then there are processes and procedures to change the standard of care, but the precedent of banning the medically accepted practice of the standard of care is extremely dangerous, because in any other circumstance, we would never do that. But then I thought, we've heard this argument, and that hasn't worked yet. So then I thought maybe I should talk about the statistics and the potential impact of this bill. Because we know that there are actually negative harms. We know, for example, that half of transgender and non-binary people surveyed by the Trevor Project have seriously considered attempting suicide. We know that. And when all of us have collectively worked to advance mental health outcomes, nearly 3/4 of our transgender youth have reported symptoms of anxiety. But the one that really hits me the most, because it has to do with our actions here on the House floor, is that nearly 1 in 3 LGBT youth have reported that their mental health was poor, most of the time or always, because of anti-LGBT policies and legislations. That means that our actions, our words, are hurting children. Forget even the advancement of the policy, but just the mere conversation has a negative impact. But we've heard that argument before, and it still hasn't worked. So then I thought, well, maybe I should talk about the larger societal harms. And this one, to me, really hits home. For example, all of you know that I proudly represent the community of El Paso. And all of you have heard how we have had a tragic event happen in El Paso, the Walmart shooting. But why did the Walmart shooting happen? When we looked at the manifesto of the shooter, he cited and referenced political rhetoric that caused behavior. So let's talk about this. Rhetoric, language, stereotypes shape society. And this bill is wrapped in all of this. It is not an accident that there is literally a headline that reads, "Texas leads the nation in transgender killings." These types of pieces of legislation dehumanize, create violence, create misunderstandings, and that has an ultimate effect on behavior in society. Members, we are not asking for there to be no consideration of how to appropriately address medications or in all regards, whether it's opioids or anything else. But this piece of legislation is the most extreme piece of legislation we can get to. I am not naive to know that this has been a politicized issue. But I think it's really important for us and for me to express that this piece of policy will have a domino effect of harm. And sadly, it will have the most impact on children who are the most vulnerable. We would never do this for anything else, but for this, because of the highly politicized conversation, we are going to ban healthcare. Healthcare that is being used in other instances, but we're going to ban it to one section of a community in a way that will have negative outcomes. I ask for you to consider adopting this amendment because we don't want to set the precedent that will have a domino effect of negative outcomes.
Mr. Speaker.